Jamaican charged with debt relief scam in U.S. Washington, CMC, the United States Department of Justice, DOJ, says a Jamaican has been charged in a debt relief scam. According to the DOJ, Sariga Savarao, also known as Sariga Savarao Goodison, 36, of Jamaica, appeared in U.S. federal court on Friday and was arraigned on an 8-count indictment charging her with creating a series of fraudulent debt relief companies that tricked U.S. victims into paying fees and disclosing personal identifying and sensitive information and identity documents to obtain debt relief, which did not actually exist. On December 2, 2021, a U.S. federal grand jury returned an 8-count sealed indictment charging Savarao with 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud affecting a financial institution, 4 counts of wire fraud affecting a financial institution, and 3 counts of aggravated identity theft. The indictment states that between 2016 and 2018, Savarao conspired with others to profit from fees paid by victims of fraudulent debt relief companies. The indictment alleges that conspirators created and operated fraudulent businesses and websites that marketed and sold fraudulent debt relief services to members of the public. Conspirators fraudulently misrepresented that members of the public could apply for and obtain thousands of dollars worth of debt relief on their outstanding, unpaid bills in the form of grants, all in exchange for payment of a service processing fee, the indictment says. Conspirators also claimed that the purported debt relief was funded and administered by the U.S. government. For their false representations, the DOJ said Savarao and her co-conspirators are alleged to have induced or attempted to induce victims throughout the United States to pay over $1 million worth of service processing fees to Savarao and her co-conspirators via Western Union, MoneyGram, PayPal, and other payment mechanisms. The DOJ said Savarao arrived in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area on Thursday after being extradited from Jamaica. At Friday's initial appearance, a DOJ said Judge Zia M. Faruqi ordered that Savarao be held without bond pending her next hearing, which is scheduled for September 20th. More than 30 Haitians land in Portland on boat. Portland, Jamaica, a boat carrying 36 Haitians landed on the shores of Long Bay in Portland on Saturday morning. Observer Online understands that the group, comprising 18 men, 9 women, and 9 children, arrived at about 6 a.m. It is the second reported boatload of Haitians to land in Jamaica over the last 2 months. In July, 37 Haitians landed on Boston Beach in Portland. They have since applied for asylum in Jamaica. Haiti has been mired for years in intertwining economic, security, and political crises, resulting in thousands of citizens fleeing the country. The assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in 2021 has dramatically worsened the situation, with gangs taking an increasingly strong hold.
Long Bay, Portland.
And if you want a baby where make already man, you know your sleep no good, just come down along there, get a baby mother with a baby where make already right there. So if you want other for youth there too.
Powerful quake in Morocco kills more than 1,000 people. Marrakesh, Morocco, AP, a rare, powerful earthquake struck Morocco, killing more than 1,000 people, with the toll expected to rise as rescuers struggled Saturday to get through boulder-strewn roads to the remote areas hit hardest. The magnitude 6.8 quake, the biggest to hit the North African country in 120 years, sent people fleeing their homes in terror and disbelief late Friday. One man said dishes and wall hangings began raining down, and people were knocked off their feet. The enormity of the destruction came into view in the daylight. At least 1,037 people died, mostly in Marrakesh and 5 provinces near the quake's epicenter, and another 1,204 people were injured, Morocco's Interior Ministry reported Saturday morning. Of the injured, the ministry wrote, 721 were in critical condition. The quake brought down walls made from stone and masonry not designed to withstand quakes, covering whole communities with rubble and leaving residents picking their way precariously through remains. Rescuers worked through the night to find survivors buried in the dusty ruins. A tent typically used for celebrations was being erected for shelter in the square of the impoverished mountain community of Moulay Ibrahim, where homes made of clay and brick were largely left uninhabitable. Fathers sobbed into phones telling loved ones about losing their children. Bodies covered with blankets lay in the health center next to a mosque as doctors pulled shards from people's feet and treated surface wounds. "There's nothing to do but pray," said Hamza Lamghani, who lost 5 of his closest friends. People could be seen on state TV clustering in the streets of historic Marrakesh, afraid to go back inside buildings that might still be unstable. Many wrapped themselves in blankets as they tried to sleep outside. Marrakesh's famous Koutoubia Mosque, built in the 12th century, was damaged, but the extent was not immediately clear. Its 69-meter, 226-foot minaret is known as the Roof of Marrakesh. Moroccans also posted videos showing damage to parts of the famous red walls that surround the Old City, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The problem is that where destructive earthquakes are rare, buildings are simply not constructed robustly enough to cope with strong ground shaking, so many collapse, resulting in high casualties, said Bill Maguire, Professor Emeritus of Geophysical and Climate Hazards at University College London. I would expect the final death toll to climb into the thousands once more is known. As with any big quake, aftershocks are likely, which will lead to further casualties and hinder search and rescue. In a sign of the huge scale of the disaster, Morocco's King Mohammed VI ordered the armed forces to mobilize air and land assets, specialized search and rescue teams, and a surgical field hospital, according to a statement from the military. But despite an outpouring of offers of help from around the world, the Moroccan government had not formally asked for assistance, a step required before outside rescue crews could deploy. The U.S. Geological Survey said the quake had a preliminary magnitude of 6.8 when it hit, with shaking that lasted several seconds. The U.S. agency reported a magnitude 4.9 aftershock hit 19 minutes later. The collision of the African and Eurasian tectonic plates occurred at a relatively shallow depth, which makes a quake more dangerous. Earthquakes are relatively rare in North Africa. Wilson Haney, head of the Seismic Monitoring and Warning Department at the National Institute of Geophysics, told 2MTV that the earthquake was the strongest ever recorded in the region. In 1960, a magnitude 5.8 tremor struck near the Moroccan city of Agadir and caused thousands of deaths. That quake prompted changes in construction rules in Morocco, but many buildings, especially rural homes, are not built to withstand such tremors. In 2004, a 6.4 magnitude earthquake near the Mediterranean coastal city of Al Hoceima left more than 600 dead. Friday's quake was felt as far away as Portugal and Algeria, according to the Portuguese Institute for Sea and Atmosphere and Algeria's Civil Defense Agency, which oversees emergency response.